So it's looking like parents on TikTok this school year are asking teachers not only to teach their kids everything they need to know, but to also pay out of pocket for everything that they're going to need as well.
Y'all just lazy. Y'all on this complain about school supply. You want the teacher to raise the baby, teach the baby. You want the teacher to buy back school clothes too? Teachers already don't get paid. Y'all, I'm telling you the warehouse jobs make more than teachers sometime, and I'm not.
It is not our job to supply all other students with school supplies.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Emergency and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to the school year. Yes, it is back to school season, our favorite time of year, where without fail, there's always some kind of discourse going on. Whether it's the fact that the kids are in fact not all right and not on grade level, whether or not teachers should be allowed to be filming TikToks in the classroom, to now where there seems to be some discourse and debate over who is footing the bill for school supplies. The parents, the teachers, the school district, or, I don't know, the kids themselves. And this is a really hot button issue when it comes to back to school season because money is such a sensitive topic, especially in times like these where money is a little tighter and supplies that used to be deemed as commonplace and very lowbrow now quickly becoming semi-luxury. And I know times are hard and things are expensive. We talk about that all the time on this channel. But I do still think it is wild for parents to go and point the finger back at teachers for asking parents to provide school supplies for their kids, and to then go forward and expect that of the teacher themselves to provide that for your kid. Like in a perfect world, yes, it would make sense that you send your kid to school and the school provides everything for them. But as we are very aware, we are not living in anywhere near a perfect world. In fact, we're living in a world where schools are severely underfunded, understaffed, and teachers as it is are overworked and undercompensated. So yeah, to reiterate, it is wild for parents to provide essential supplies for their kids or just being stingy and weirdly controlling over the stuff that they do give out. But before we start casting judgment for real, let's try and understand where each side is coming from here. And let's first turn to the parents' POV. And I gotta say, the pain point for a lot of this discourse is understandable. In times where everyday expenses are expensive enough, it is frustrating to have to allocate budget every August or September to provide school supplies every single year for your kids. And God forbid you have multiple kids, the bill does add up. Like, let's not pretend school, even public school, is inexpensive. Like, sure, public school is free, aka your taxes pay for it, but that just lets you walk in the door. Like, in order to learn, you need some materials, some supplies so that you can take notes, read a book, do your homework, have something to carry your things in, something to lock your locker with. Like, there are many school supplies every year. Like, there is a real cost to going to school every year. And I think one of the main questions posed by parents, and honestly everyone, is why school supplies are so expensive right now. According to a report from Intuit Credit Karma aimed at parents with school-aged children, 39% of respondents said that they can't afford their back-to-school shopping this year. In the same survey, 44% of respondents said that they plan to go into debt to cover the cost of school shopping. Like I said, this is a serious issue for people, and in a time where people are struggling to afford rent or mortgage, or to consistently put food on the table for families, something that seemingly arbitrary expenses like school supplies kind of seem exactly that. Arbitrary, when I already feel like I'm drowning trying to keep myself and my kids afloat as it is. Like, on a base level, that sort of thinking is understandable. And no, you're not going crazy. Well, at least in this case, everything is getting more expensive. Shocker. I mean, not really. That's like not really news at this point if you've been paying attention. Prices have been on the incline for years at this point. And this year, parents and teachers alike have all been feeling it. Like, just to give perspective over how inflation is going right now, backpacks used to be $12 4 years ago. And now they're nearing $16. And that's just on the low end. Prices for things like pencils are going up. Lord knows the prices for tech like laptops, tablets, headphones, calculators, and the like are all going up, which is putting an even greater strain on consumers, namely parents. CNBC is reporting that many school supply categories are at least 20% more expensive than they were pre-pandemic. And again, having this come at a time where parents are struggling to make ends meet, either financially, temporally, or both, this combo is a recipe for disaster.
$226 divided by the 180 days that my baby's gonna be in school is $1.25 a day. And guess what? I went above and beyond on this list. She asked for 2 boxes of Kleenex. I'll get you 4. She asked for 1 ream of copy paper. Baby, don't worry, I got you 6. Then she had these wish list items. She wanted snacks, she wanted baby wipes, she wanted some small water and drinks for the kids. I am getting these teachers what they need, and I'm not labeling nothing, because if the teacher says she needs 3 glue sticks, she needs them 3 glue sticks plus some. And that is great. People are gonna go, oh, you want a cookie? No, my cookie is knowing that my child is gonna go to school, be well taken care of, and have the stuff that she needs for a successful school year. Wrap this conversation up.
So as a parent, seeing the school supply list that asks for things like 8 glue sticks, 3 to 4 packs of pencils, and other things that just seem like frivolous or excessive extra costs, I can see how it feels like you're being asked to foot a bill for stuff that you may feel like your kid doesn't necessarily need for their education. And we're gonna get more into why that is when we go to the teacher's POV. But I think before we do that, we do have to talk about why prices are the way they are. And unfortunately, this is where we get a little bit real. It's time to talk about the big orange and green elephant in the room. The tariffs. The recent tariffs set off by the current administration have been one of the main contributors to buyer fears and price increases. Most of the tariffs that have been scheduled to take place at some point during the month of August impact goods coming in from foreign countries. And preemptively, a lot of these distributors have been raising their prices to counteract the loss in profits from these tariffs. Again, in case no one's told you by now, the consumer pays the tariffs. I mean, not literally pays the tariffs, but is paying the difference in price. And also, unfortunately for us, a lot of our products, especially products pertaining to school supplies, are manufactured and produced and imported and from other countries. Like, think about your backpacks, your calculators, your writing supplies, all, if not at least some of the products in your technology are made from other countries, which means that as the tariffs go through, the prices for those increase as well. And technology especially will be seeing price increases this month, as tariffs on microchips coming in from other countries are astoundingly high. Like, it really does seem like on all levels, the last of everyone's money is being squeezed out right now, and that's just really unfortunate. But like I said, it's being squeezed out of everyone, including teachers. And that's sort of the whole point that teachers are trying to make in this whole conversation. Personally, I'm never in the business of blaming teachers or educators, just in general, unless they are doing like some illegal and egregious stuff. Because a lot of times for 9 months out the year, they got to put up with people's kids more than the people have to put up with their kids. And in the grand context of the argument that people are having right now of like, okay, I'm not paying for all these school supplies, why isn't the teacher paying for the school supplies for our kids? Well, actually, they already are. Actually, around 90% of public school teachers buy their school supplies out of pocket, which can total as much as $500. Like, this includes backup supplies for students, classroom decorations, snacks, toiletries, whatever would have you, to make the classroom experience as engaging as possible. And when you take into account the fact that the average starting public school teacher salary is around $46,000 a year, that is a pretty significant amount of money going out of their paycheck.
So I know we're past this conversation because nobody's talking about it, but I just want to say how irritated I am at the parents who don't give school supplies. My mom, for the 10th, 12th year in a row, is sending out an Amazon wish list to all the family members so they can give supplies to our students.
So what these teachers and schools are asking of parents to provide are the things in addition to that to make sure that your individual student is taken care of. Like, sure, teachers might have maybe a handful of school supplies to give out as needed if a kid forgets or doesn't have supplies that day, but that's not going to sustain everybody for the entire school year. Like, you need your own supplies. And specifically in the context of this discourse, teachers have been receiving a lot of flack from asking so much of parents to provide for the class. Lists have gone viral online asking for things like 8 glue sticks, multiple boxes of tissues, and multiple packs of pencils, etc., etc.
Like a fun rug, a cool rug on the ground for him, nothing. I'm just praying that by Tuesday there's a little bit more fun.
An interesting bunch, because wasn't it so long ago that you guys were on this app complaining that school supplies were so expensive, you guys were not going to be getting extras, and that teachers essentially had to figure it out? And now you're coming onto the very same app and complaining that classrooms look boring, that there's no cute rugs. That's the deal breaker for you guys? A rug? Not having a cute rug? Not the school supplies.
And here's the thing. I think there's valid concern for parents to be like, girl, why does my kid need 8 glue sticks for the year? But then you have to realize, especially for the younger years, kids are kids and will either lose or dry out their glue and other materials.
So the parents are online crashing out about school supplies again, like they do every year. And so I am here to show you that you actually don't have to spend $500 on notebooks, pencils, and paper, okay? Some of your school supply lists end up so expensive because you're allowing your 6-year-old to tell you that they refuse to carry anything except for a $175 book bag. So between Walmart and Dollar Tree, you know how much my total was? Do you know what the total was? $46.82. Go get the damn baby's school supplies.
Like, I think a major oversight in this conversation is the fact that like these lists that teachers are making aren't just arbitrarily thrown together. Like, teachers are teachers for a reason. They've been in the field for a number of years, so they generally have an idea for the brands that work the best and last the best, as well as which supplies students tend to lose, forget, break, whatever would have you throughout the school year. So a lot of times the school supply list is a suggestion for like everything that you're gonna need for the entire year. Whether or not you're paying for it all up front right now or paying for it throughout the school year as your kid loses stuff, as your kid breaks stuff, whatever would have you. This is the general list for how many supplies a student goes through in this class or in this school for a school year, based on the numbers and observations of the past years. And I think this is a part of the conversation that like people aren't really acknowledging. Like, nothing is going to happen for real, like, at least generally, if you don't have every single thing to the exact quantity during the school year. Like, your kid just needs enough to get by for the time being. And if you need to buy more school supplies later, you can do that. The list is just a list of all the things that they're going to need ever. And again, it's not fair to ask teachers to pay for that because they're already paying a lot for your kid. They're already doing a lot for your kid. And teachers in this case aren't the issue. The common denominator here and the issue here, y'all aren't gonna like this, I'm sorry. This is the quiet part that no one wants to say out loud, but this really isn't a teacher versus parent debate. It's the current education system versus the government and capitalism.
It is not our job to supply all other students with school supplies. We pay taxes for that. The school should be funded to supply pencils and erasers and construction paper. Why are we supplying 4 boxes of tissues, 2 cans of Lysol spray? Like,
And now I know this is where I lose a lot of people, I'm sorry. Neither parents or teachers are fully in the right or wrong, because at the end of the day, the needs for both of them just aren't being met by these systems they are a part of, and are both stemming from the common issues of the lack of money and resources provided to them in their community. Like, neither parents or teachers are provided what is actually needed for a comfortable and productive school, work, or family environment. Your average parent and teacher aren't making enough, prices for things are getting too high, and school systems by and large are just generally underfunded to provide for the students themselves outside of free meals. And even then, that's a stretch for some school systems and is actively being fought against. Like, this is 100% an education issue as much as it is a money issue. Because as we all know, the state of education is already not the best. And the kids are actively not all right in terms of the quality of what they're learning and what they're able to learn. It just really seems like our country is committed to making getting a base level of education one of the most difficult things ever. I wonder why that might be. Like I've been saying before, school systems are drastically underfunded. Teachers aren't allowed to fail their kids for real and have to pass them on from grade to grade, whether or not they're actually on grade level or not. Teachers are dealing with increasingly large class sizes to the point where it's not conducive or sustainable to actual genuine learning. There are increasing restrictions over what students are able to learn, read, and do. And as we're seeing right now, it is more difficult to get a base level of actual school supplies that are required to get a solid education. And this isn't even addressing the behavioral and interpersonal issues that stem from schools these days from the students themselves. I do have a couple of videos talking about that specifically if you want to check out conversations around that. But I really think the most important part of this conversation and the unfortunate real losers from all this at the end of the day are the students. And I really hate to be but think of the children as but like, let's be for real. We can debate all day long, but at the end of the day, these students are the most important part of this conversation and are the ones that are going to be dealing with the consequences of whatever action comes out of all this. Like, if students aren't getting the supplies that they need, they're not going to be able to learn. And enthusiasm for school and for learning from students right now is already reaching all-time lows. And truly, anything that disincentivizes the easy access to education for students is going to drastically hurt the chances of that kid learning. Like I said, most grade school level kids aren't on a reading level as is. Like, just as one example case, you have education scores in Florida hitting 20-year lows. And honestly, I don't know if anyone's really looking at Florida as being the leader in education for the country, but like, this all tells a story. We're currently in an education crisis in this country, and students really do need all the help that they can get. And this isn't necessarily an issue that can be fixed overnight, because unfortunately we can't just change the prices of things with the snap of a finger. But what we can do is adapt and try our best to provide for the next generation of learners. Whether that means sharing school supplies between friends that are going to the same school, buying discount versions of supplies that are on supply lists, reusing supplies from previous years, reusing clothes from previous years, or just generally scaling back on what's needed and only purchasing what the student needs for however many weeks or months and continuously re-upping instead of making a bulk purchase all at once. And it's finally time for me to hit the unique community button for this video, because it's really time that we lean on each other and not go for each other's throats. Like, parents, please, we can find ways to be creative. If you think you're tired and at your wit's end, imagine how tired teachers are. While you're at work working away for your kids, teachers are also at work with your kids. And just as a final thing, I'll leave some links in my description to some resources for different funds, grants, and things like that that either you or someone you may know can apply for to help with school supplies or just affording school, whether that be for parents, educators, or college students. So yeah, be sure to check that out in the description below. I just gotta say, at the end of the day, it is the teacher's job to make sure that your kid is getting a fruitful education. However, it's not their job to play sugar parent.
I'm so glad that education is a trending topic right now, because there are so many things I want to say. The first is that, yes, a lot of people cannot read and a lot of people cannot comprehend or understand things or even write.
Your son or your daughter is in this intervention class because they are reading at 3rd and 2nd grade levels. They cannot understand informational text. They do not understand literature. They cannot debunk or debrief. They can't summarize a simple paragraph.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are, I'ma just say this. I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level.
To go and gift books for kids that are around you, read them with kids. Every time there's a chance to celebrate a holiday.
So apparently Gen Z can't read? Hey guys, what's up? It's Emergency and welcome back to my channel. And today we are back and talking about something that I've been seeing a lot on the internet as of recently, especially on Twitter and TikTok and other social media platforms, where Gen Z and honestly some of Gen Alpha are getting a lot of can't read allegations. No, Leah Michelle. There seems to be a rising issue being voiced by educators around the country from an academic sense, and then just from like a day-to-day internet user sort of sense of Gen Z, specifically younger Gen Z and older Gen Alpha, not really learning or being able to keep up with what is expected for them at their grade level. And then from an internet side of things, just from the way that different internet scandals, media stories, and the way that things are just portrayed online, especially in recent years, shows that media literacy is just down as a whole across the board. And in this video, we're going to talk about that and really get to the root of if there's any merit to these claims of decreased media literacy and just Gen Z not being able to read or do math or really keep up with anything like they used to back in the day. And then getting into some reasonings and explanations for why this may be, what's causing this. And then we'll take a little dip into talking about the attention economy and the Gen Z millennial debate that has been raging on for the past couple of years. But before we do that, if you are new around here, hi, I'm Rumi, and you are watching imergency, a little series that I have on this channel where we talk about all things Gen Z and media, pop culture, and just Gen Z stuff in general. I also post other commentary content, tier lists, show reviews, the whole nine. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the content that I have coming out on this channel. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video because it helps out so much with the YouTube algorithm like you don't understand. And also while you're at it, if you want to see more lifestyle content, so things like fashion, or if you just want to keep up with what I do when I'm not here on YouTube, you can follow me on my other socials here at imuRgency on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. But let's get into this topic, shall we? So like I was saying before, there have been multiple educators, whether they be teachers, professors, or just people that work in education, that have been noting and vocalizing their concerns with the classes that they have been teaching, and specifically with their students' performance in class.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are, I'ma just say this. I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level. I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on a 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, 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 passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're gonna move that child to the 8th grade next year. And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level? Why y'all don't know this? Why y'all don't know? Talk about it. Let's unpack. Because y'all be quick to talk about, oh, the teacher this, the teacher this, the teacher. It's your job, baby. I just got here 30 days ago. She was performing on the 4th grade level since 4th grade.
which has rightfully raised a lot of flags for a lot of people, because like whenever the rhetoric of like, oh my god, the youth is failing us, like the kids are not all right, goes viral, like people tend to really run with that. And it truly is genuinely concerning to hear that kids are moving through the education system without fully getting a grasp of what they're learning and the material that they need to move on to the next grade level. Because like people have been mentioning online and in the comments of these videos, if this keeps on happening and students are being continuously pushed throughout the education system and throughout middle school, high school, and college without ever really getting a grasp on the fundamentals of what they need to actually go through these levels, it's going to set us up for failure for when in 10, 15, 20 years, we have that population of people going to specialized careers, like being your doctor, being your lawyer, being your accountant, being governmental figures, and things like that, because no one really challenged or encouraged them to do a little better or actually really learn the material that they were supposed to be learning in school while they were in school. And the question that a lot of people have been asking since these educators have come forward is like, why is this the case? Like, if you see these students struggling or not being at grade level, why are you as the teacher not doing anything to step in? And this is my take on it. I feel like while yes, it is the teacher's job to help students and to prepare these students for the grade level that they are at, I think it's also kind of a stretch to ask teachers to be able to compensate for years and years of children being left behind while still trying to teach them the things that they're actually supposed to learn in their grade level to be ready for the next grade level. On top of the fact that classrooms nowadays are only getting bigger, there are fewer and fewer educators in the system, and to be honest, teachers just aren't paid enough to do all that, especially when they're paying out of pocket already for a lot of their school supplies and stuff to do their job. I think in this scenario, it's important to look at the higher structures at play, like the school boards, the standardized curriculums that a lot of public schools have, as well as the parents as well. I don't feel like this falls squarely on the shoulders of the teachers, because it really does take a village to raise and educate children. And I feel like especially now, as someone who's a part of Gen Z and went through the education system, I could say confidently, at least the way that I experienced education through like the common curriculum just was not helpful and beneficial to actually learning, especially in an environment where there were like 20 or so kids in a class with one single teacher, because people don't all learn the same way, for one, and two, it's just so difficult to be able to accommodate to so many people in the current way that education is being set up. And with the way that things have been going with education nationally, outside of the control, from a higher up perspective, I see that things are only going to get worse. But let's talk about some factors that contribute to this from a Gen Z perspective. For one, I feel like the whole structure and concept of education has been completely shifted because of the pandemic. Like, I was in college during the lockdown eras when classes were primarily online, and that completely shifted everything for me when I was in college. Like, I can't imagine like being in high school or even younger doing classes and just school as a whole online, because I feel like during that era things were either super hard or like super easy. Like, I remember complaining, I think some videos are actually up on the channel of me complaining about the amount of busy work that was given during that era, just to say like, okay, we've done it. That wouldn't necessarily be challenging or like really necessary, but would be done just to get the grade and to pass us through. And there'd be that section of the education system under lockdown. And then there would be the complete opposite, where it's like something where it's like a paper, assignment, or whatever that's like super difficult and definitely needs more explaining and context behind it, but we'd just never be given that, and we're just expected to figure it out, which is a whole nother issue. And like I said, that was difficult to navigate when I was in college, where an independent study and I guess education is more encouraged. But in like high school and middle school, where you're kind of dependent on your teacher to figure out how to do stuff, I can't imagine how difficult that must have been. If you were in high school during the lockdowns and remember that experience, let me know in the comments, like, how was that for you? Because that just sounds like hell. But yeah, the pandemic definitely impacted education for a lot of Gen Z. So of course that would translate to like post-lockdown times, because you have this whole 2 to 3 year era where people are just lagging behind because they didn't really get the education that they were supposed to. Then you have things like the rise of AI with ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence things that help students, that have caused an increase in like school cheating through like papers and like assignments and stuff like that. And since we have intelligence to essentially write, comprehend, and otherwise do things for us, it's easy to see how all those things add up into the situation that we've gotten ourselves in today, where we have a whole group of us as Gen Z that don't read because they don't need to, don't write as well because they don't need to, and don't critically think because social media has gotten us accustomed to having any content that we want to see or think we might want to see be served to us through algorithms on platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and even here on YouTube. Which brings me to my next point. Media literacy? Girl, it's time to be real. I say this with peace and love, but we as Gen Z we as a generation are media illiterate. Like, media literacy is at an all-time low. And I'm guilty of this sometimes too. Like, the girlies don't be reading in between the lines like they used to. But before we get into more of that, let's take a pause and let's define what media literacy is so we're all on the same page. According to Google, media literacy is the ability to critically analyze stories presented in the mass media and to determine their accuracy or credibility. And I hate to say this, but I feel like a lot of our media literacy has been dumbed down to the Twitter community notes. Like, that is our critical think. Like, the fact that that's becoming such a strong tool to really combat mis and disinformation and to figure out if something is real or not. I mean, of course, like, it isn't completely our fault, because with like the rise of deepfakes and, like I was saying before, AI generated images, narratives, and things like that is becoming increasingly more difficult to discern which is which. But when a story comes out and 1 and 1 are equaling 3, I think that we need to try a little bit harder to understand for ourselves that something might not be adding up, you know? And I feel like that has definitely bled into social media culture so much. Like, you could see it with literally anything. Like, there is such little nuance and critical thought that goes into a lot of the discourse and conversations that go on online. Like, I feel like when people talk about issues online, they tend to take an either black or white stance, like it's either this or that, when likely 99.9% of the time, issues are very gray and complex and multifaceted, but because it's more convenient and beneficial commercially to make a headline or an issue sound more one-sided and shocking and problematic than it actually is, that's what the community tends to run with, and that's what gets proliferated. And this is where I feel like things sort of taper off from just being about Gen Z to also spanning to millennials, because I feel like millennials and a lot of millennial discourse recently, again, no hate to millennials. I'm not here to promote the generation wars. However, I have been seeing a lot of millennials sort of rag on Gen Z for just not being media literate, for not being able to critically think, or just being deemed as like not as smart as previous generations. Gen X too, y'all aren't safe. But I feel like across the board, no matter what generation you are, media literacy and being able to discern and figure out what's BS and what is real, it clocks everybody across the board. Because like the way that I see boomers and Gen X fall for any headline that they see, especially, God forbid it's on Facebook or WhatsApp, like they are running with it like it was written in the Bible itself. And that's just crazy to me, because you're gonna see something that conspiracy theorist 344 wrote on Facebook and come back and tell the family that we need to start preparing because they said that aliens are about to beam us from the sky, and we're media illiterate, we're the dumb ones, we're gullible. Right. And as for millennials, I feel like the things that Gen Z falls for and gets into arguments about are very similar to the things that millennials fall for and gets into arguments about. Because while the education system may have not failed millennials as much and as severely as the education system has failed Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I could hop on Twitter today and see the both of us get caught up and believe an article or a headline posted by Pop Basse instead of Pop Bass because we looked at it too quickly. Like, honestly, no shade to anyone, but I feel like the ability to critically think is becoming more and more scarce of an ability and a resource. And honestly, I'd say that a lot of that is due to the decrease in the attention economy overall. And you may be asking yourself, Rumi, what the the attention economy? That sounds like a buzzword that you commentary YouTubers came up with to make things sound more dramatic. And honestly, it might be. Let me look it up. Hold on. No, okay. There are sources and definitions on the internet, according to Wikipedia. Attention economics is an approach to the management of information that treats human attention as a scarce commodity and applies economic theory to solve various information management problems. That wasn't exactly how I was going to use attention economy. Kind of sort of similar. When I talk about the attention economy, I just mean, see, this is me where my critical thinking and media literacy is being tested. But basically what I mean when I talk about the attention economy, and specifically the shortening of the attention economy, is essentially managing the length of time that people are willing to allocate to things before moving on to the next thing. So kind of like the definition was saying, like the amount of resource, in this sense, resource being attention, someone has to allot to an amount of things. So when I talk about the shortening of the attention economy, I feel like as the content that we consume gets shorter and shorter, because things are being promoted to be shorter and shorter, with the rise in popularity and prevalence of short form video, short form literature, making things as snappy and quickly digestible as possible, we're losing recipes here. Well, no, because we've gotten so used to consuming things in 15, 30, 60-second intervals that when things get over 90 seconds, or when someone talks too slow, or if an article is too long, like we just will look away. We'll move our attention elsewhere, try to find it in a shorter and more digestible and punchy fashion. And the result of that means that a lot of information is being cut down. A lot of that information being things that would provide that nuance and would give the fuller picture are being lost and being reduced down to things that will catch your attention and grab that attention quickly, which tend to be the most flashy and polarizing things, which again, don't give the full story. And as we've gotten more and more used to this, going backwards becomes a lot harder. Like, I feel like you have to train yourself to be able to consume longer and longer content to expand your attention span. Like, I'm honestly shocked that y'all be watching these long form commentary videos and podcasts, but can't watch a TikTok or a short video that's longer than 90 seconds. But then again, now that I say it out loud, that might just be because of the way that content is consumed in short form and long form. Like, I feel like right now, sorry, I don't mean to call you out. I genuinely don't mean to call you out. I did this one time before and it really freaked out some of y'all, but I know that some of y'all aren't sitting down and watching this. Like, I know that some of y'all are likely watching this or listening to this while you're doing something else. Maybe cooking, cleaning, going on a walk, taking a little poo, like very much passively consuming this content. And actually, if you're just sitting down, you made it this far and you're genuinely watching, like not doing anything else and watching this video, hats off to you. Yeah, comment down below. Leave a comment right now under this timestamp being like, I am actually presently watching you. And I'm gonna like your comment because good for you, yeah. But then I feel like in comparison to short form, I feel like short form content consumption is very much active. Like, you are locked and you are right here watching. Like, you are likely not doing anything else while you're watching these. So while it's easier to passively listen or follow along to a longer form video while you're doing something else that's also keeping your attention going, when you're watching short form, you're locked in, so that attention is very much one-on-one. Like, it needs to be quick and snappy so you can just keep scrolling and scrolling. Interesting hypothesis. But yeah, overall, I feel like when talking about the decrease in reading level, media literacy levels, and just academic and intellectual performance, this isn't necessarily as much of a Gen Z and Gen Alpha issue as it is a societal and systemic issue. Like, we as Gen Z as well as Gen Alpha are being failed. This isn't to say that we have no accountability in this. Like, of course, our education at some point is in our own hands, but there are a lot of factors that are also out of our hands in terms of creating widespread, accessible solutions. So yeah, I do think it's concerning that Gen Z can't read, and I really do feel for teachers trying to do their best, but honestly being way in over their heads because these kids have been failed time after time after time. But I do feel like there is something that has to be done on a higher, more systemic level to be able to compensate and help meet people where they're at and bring them up to speed. Whether that be from the government, whether that be from school boards, whether that be from parents, checking in on their kids more, just something. Because I know in 20, 30 years, I don't want to be scared to go to my doctor asking me what I think is wrong. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, y'all. And I want to hear from you. What was or is your experience like going through school right now? Do you as a student feel like you're just being passed along without really getting a hold of the materials? And are you concerned? And for any educators out there, let me know what your experience is. Are you also seeing this trend? And what do you think could help? I want to hear all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Once again, thanks for watching. Subscribe, leave a like, follow me on my socials at imergency. And until then, I will see you in my next video. Peace. Okay, I'm gonna say it. The girls just aren't as problematic as they used to be. And I don't like that. Hey guys, this is It's Emergency and welcome back to my channel. And today we are talking about something a little bit different, but honestly something that I've been dying to talk about for a good minute. And that is Wendy Williams. And not actually specifically Wendy Williams, like yes, Wendy Williams, but more so what she represents and represented through her show and the impact that problematic host had on pop culture and just the media zeitgeist overall. Because as you may or may not know, the Wendy Williams show has been over for quite a while now. And ever since it's ended, like something has shifted. Like the actors, musicians, celebrities, and pop culture girlies overall have just been running amok because there has not really been someone to keep them in check like Wendy Williams used to. And honestly, with everything that's been going on online and in the world over the past couple of years, many people on the internet, myself included, have been wondering what Wendy's take would be on everything in the pop culture zeitgeist. So you can consider this video a little bit of a deep dive light, or a light dive, not so deep dive, into the history and impact of the Wendy Williams show, as well as diving into why we have not seen another prominent, problematic TV host to truly fill her spot. Because I feel like now a lot of like daytime talk shows are more so like happy-go-lucky, like super positive, super curated, when I think we all just need something a little bit real, okay? But if you're new around here, welcome. Hi, I'm Rumi. I cover all things pop culture, media, and TV. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, then make sure to subscribe. Also, while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like on this video because it helps out so much with the YouTube algorithm. And I've fully been stepping into my lifestyle girly era on my other social medias on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, all at Emergency. So if you want to see me serve looks or just keep up with what I'm doing when I'm not on YouTube, then Go check those out. But in order to understand why we will never likely get another Wendy Williams, I think it's important to understand who exactly is Wendy Williams and what was her impact in her heyday. Wendy initially got her start not on TV, but on radio with the Wendy Williams Experience. And on her radio show, she'd share a lot about her shocking personal life, being really vulnerable and authentic on her radio show, which really resonated with a lot of people, to the point where she started gaining an audience of more than 12 million listeners. She also interviewed celebrities on her radio show, and was never afraid to gossip or actually grill these celebrities while they're being on her show. And generally, there was just very little that Wendy wouldn't do and talk about, and even fewer places that Wendy would not go. Like, the appeal of Wendy Williams is that you knew she'd ask the questions and she'd say the most out-of-pocket things that we've all been thinking in our heads, but are too afraid to say. She'd be the one to say the quiet part out loud, for better or for worse. And her success on radio eventually got her a 6-week pilot of the Wendy Williams Show that we've grown to know back in 2008, which gave her an even larger visual platform to interview celebrities and just conduct her show. And by 2010, she was one of the biggest daytime female hosts. She truly was that girl waking up with America with a very warm and messy "how you doing?" And from there, she went on to continue with the show for almost 13 years, making countless viral moments and problematic comments that's truly solidified her in the pop culture space. And truly, when I say solidify herself, I mean solidified. Like, there are literally so many Wendy Williams memes, audio clips that are still going around to this day. Like, she truly was an I don't give a warrior. Like, she was on the front lines for decades. She would burp, fart, cough, snort, pretty much anything on live TV, which would traditionally be considered unprofessional for TV standards, but is something that her audience grew to live for and laugh with her about. And while Wendy Williams' prime was mostly loved and appreciated by Gen X and Millennials, even after the show's end, Wendy has cultivated a Gen Z fan base through the rise of her viral clips and memes and reaction pics, especially the ones that circulate on TikTok. I feel like some of her most memorable ones, right off the top of my head, are her takes on the Spears family.
Death to all of them.
Her moment on The Masked Singer. Among other audios that circulate on TikTok. Wendy Williams is a fat whale.
Wendy Williams is a fat whale.
And while by and large she's kind of revered as this pop culture icon, at the time of her show and with her legacy, public opinion about her wasn't always so positive. There have been solid criticisms throughout Wendy's career of her being just too problematic and getting into gossip that she truly had no business being in, as well as making truly inflammatory statements and comments about other people's real lives. Like, for example, she frequently got into hot water about the way that she would report and speak on the deceased. Trigger warning, namely her being really dismissive and allegedly joking around about the unaliving of a TikTok influencer, as well as previously allegedly defending R. Kelly, among other things. And in her personal life, things weren't always looking great for her, especially towards the end of her show run. In 2018, Wendy was forced to take a break from her show because Wendy struggles with Graves' disease, and even though she tried to push through for a couple of years, and for the last 2 or so years of the show's runtime, she actually was no longer the host of The Wendy Show due to her health complications. And instead, they had a slew of celebrity guests that would take over for her show until its eventual end in 2022. And despite there being so many other hosts that would take over for Wendy, no one really put on a show like Wendy Williams did. Not to disrespect any of the other hosts, especially Sherri Shepherd, who went on to have her own show after being a host on The Wendy Show, but truly just shows that there won't be another Wendy Williams, at least for a very long time, and let's get into why. And I feel like in order to really understand that why, we gotta know why her show and why Wendy worked in general for the public. And like I briefly mentioned before, I feel like the main draw of a Wendy Williams is that she truly mastered the art of being pleasantly problematic. She'd say the quiet part out loud. She made her show in a way that felt like you were just sitting at the table with your messy best friend who was giving you the tea on everything that had been going down in pop culture. And while that may sound like the tagline for a lot of different pop culture influencers and just people on the internet today, at the time of the show, like, that was not a very saturated field. Because when you think about TV at the time, especially traditional daytime TV, it was very formal and still is to a certain extent. Like, you turn on daytime TV, I say that like anyone is actually turning on daytime TV. But let's imagine that we turn on daytime TV and you know what to expect. Like, you see this host or a panel of hosts sitting down, having a good time, talking about things and just keeping it pretty PG. But that just wasn't the case with Wendy. Like, she would get away with saying the most absurd things. And a lot of the time it would be things that the public was thinking. The audience was thinking. She had a live studio audience there reacting, giving her feedback. And every time she'd say something and gag the audience, they would be gagged, but they would not say she's wrong. Because secretly they all agreed. They all were thinking the same thing, but Wendy was the one to say it. Except for the Britney Spears thing, because I feel like that time she really just gagged everybody. Like it was giving, you need to leave. Like she was truly like the problematic bestie that she would never, ever want around any professional, any parental figure, or have your conversations on any public record ever, but still has a way of cracking you up and just being so hilariously outrageous, both intentionally and unintentionally. And like she had no filter and would often get herself into drama because of the crazy things that she'd say to and about celebrities, knowing good and well she ran in the same circles as them. And I feel like the fact that she would just be so problematic, but in a way that was understandable and funny, for the most part, people either absolutely loved her or they hated her. She was a very polarizing person. And I feel like I mentioned in my last video talking about celebrities using outrage to their benefit, being polarizing is a great thing because that means you are really causing and creating a conversation, which really truly only benefits you. But now I feel like times have sort of changed. I feel like the internet and the entertainment industry has changed so drastically in terms of like what is acceptable, in terms of what can be said, how you can say it, and the way people go about being problematic online. Also, I know the way that this sounds. This is not me being like, oh, we can't say nothing anymore, because I am very much not of that group. But I don't feel like a Wendy Williams would be as successful or would necessarily fly today, because a lot of the scandals that she ended up getting herself in and a lot of the really problematic things that she'd say was mostly during the era of TV. Like I feel like in order to be pleasantly problematic, you still need to be endearing at some sense. Like you need something going for you that's positive. Whether that be you being just really good at what you do, you being really funny, and for lack of a better word, or honestly just being able to be memed. Because I feel like the people that come off as pleasantly problematic in my mind right off the dome are Azealia Banks, Tokyo Tony, and honestly Trisha Paytas on and off, just because they've all had their scandals and have been prominent figures online, but for whatever reason can't and won't be canceled by the public because they're just so revered in the internet and pop culture zeitgeist. And while I feel like a gap has definitely been left since the end of the Wendy Williams show, in terms of just the entertainment value and holding the entertainment industry accountable of it all, I feel like there have been some contenders to sort of get something that's similar, but like I said, they don't completely match the dynamic that the Wendy show had, with her being so endearing and pleasantly problematic, the whole cast and lore around the show, and just honestly Wendy. I feel like when it comes to show comparisons, the closest show I feel to the Wendy show, not that they're doing similar things at all, but just vibe wise, was with the Z-Way show. And I feel like I talk about Z-Way a lot in my personal life just because I love that woman. Like I love Z-Way down. Like if I can meet Z-Way, actually I'm manifesting it. When I meet Z-Way, y'all ain't gonna hear the end of it from me. But if you're unfamiliar with the Z-Way show, it sort of operated on a similar-ish basis where Z-Way, the host, who initially started the show based on an Instagram live series back in 2020, would bring on these different people on her live and celebrities on her actual show and basically make them uncomfortable. Like sort of give that Wendy Williams-esque over-the-topness and just I don't give a attitude, not in a Bobby Althoff way, in terms of being just so self-confident and bold, and would sort of make her guests uncomfortable in a similar way that Wendy Williams would make her guests uncomfortable. Like she truly brought back problematic broadcasts, and I love that for her. She'd ask very direct and compromising questions to her guests in a similar way that Wendy Williams would. But where they differ is that where Wendy went sort of messy, where she'd be the active person trying to make her guests look a certain way through her questions, Z-Way would use what she liked to call gotcha journalism, where she would just ask a question and let the guests incriminate themselves. It was giving very much for my people of the melanated variety a good, what do you mean by that? And is it because I'm we're like, no matter what you answer, you're gonna look bad regardless. Like they got you. And I personally really love watching the Z-Way show. I thought it was very funny and well made. However, it did end up getting canceled at the end of 2022. I feel like other examples of hosts that sort of embody that problematic or just, I'll say, avant-garde, just real energy are now so more popular in the form of podcasts. Like I feel like Brittany Broski's podcast is another good example of something that has similar aspects to the Wendy Williams show in terms of just like Brittany just says stuff and just talks, and you don't truly know what's gonna come out of her mouth next in the best way possible. Like honestly, like a lot of the ways that Brittany goes about her podcasts are kind of similar to the way that Wendy would go about hers in terms of just really being herself and truly holding nothing back. Like if Brittany finds someone hot, she will let you know. If she wants him biblically, if she wants she will let you know exactly how she plans to part the waters, part the Red Sea. Like God forbid they give Brittany a live studio audience, like, ooh. However, I feel like the difference is Brittany does a good job of towing the line between being shocking and being outwardly problematic, which I feel like is a differentiator between like what she's doing and what Wendy Williams would do with her show. I feel like Wendy would just be problematic. Like she'd just say things knowing that they'd be bad and upset people, but she'd just do it anyway. Another podcast that I'd say has similar vibes is Fanita's podcast. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Bottoms Up with Fanita, just in a similar sense where I feel like she's just very unfiltered, says what she's thinking, and sometimes gets herself into some controversy over things that she says, whether they be actually problematic or not. Although sometimes I do feel like people intentionally try and twist her words. Overall, while I feel like there are an abundance of amazing talent out there, I feel like we still just won't ever get another Wendy Williams. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but her show really just took up space. Like she truly was a media and pop culture girly through and through. She was on top of everything and had an opinion about everything, which is honestly a hard thing to do if you think about it, because like having an opinion on everything, that takes work, because some things you just like don't care about, you know? And I feel like her absence is definitely felt. Like I feel like now that there is a lack of a major problematic host out there, I don't know, I feel like the girlies feel like they can get away with a lot more, because I feel like having someone like that in the industry and having someone like that in entertainment, it keeps people informed for one, and two, it keeps people on their toes because they don't want to be talked about. Because if you're being talked about on the Wendy show, chances are it's nothing positive. You don't want your name brought up on the Wendy show, because like she likely does not have many nice things to say. Like I don't know, I feel like the girls just aren't as on their toes as they used to be when the Wendy show was around, you know? They got a little too safe, a little too comfortable. So who's gonna step up to the plate? But yeah, now I want to hear from you. What do you think about this? Did you ever watch Wendy Williams, or have you seen the clips online? And if you have, what do you think about her era? Like, do you miss her? And do you think there should be another Wendy Williams? I'd love to hear all your thoughts down in the comments below. The strikes have honestly been impacting my channel's content a lot, so I really do appreciate you sticking around for all the different pivots that I've been making over the past couple of months. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like on this video, and follow me on my socials at imergency. But other than that, y'all, I will see you in the next video. Peace. Drum roll, please. Show content is back. Hey guys, it's imergency and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back and we're talking about TV shows, and we have not done this in months. If you're new here or have just been unaware of what's been going on in Hollywood for the past couple of months, there has been a industry-wide strike from both the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild in Hollywood, where the two organizations, SAG and the WGA, have been striking for better working conditions and for protections from things like AI encroachment and better pay in the form of residuals from streaming services. And during the strike for the past couple of months, I've been standing in solidarity, not posting show review, trope analysis, or just TV commentary in general. And I know that a lot of you have been asking and waiting for me to cover and talk about these different shows. I've been seeing your comments, but unfortunately at the time I had not been able to really talk about them because of the strikes. And as a result, personally, it's been a very difficult couple of months for me. In terms of creating content that is outside of my niche, it is kind of new, at least for this channel, and I am so grateful to all of you that have been sticking around for the past couple of months, because like I said, I've been going through it creatively, and I've had my moments of being discouraged and honestly doubting my future as a creator. But what's been keeping me going is y'all's unwavering support on the videos that I put out every week. I really can't express how much I appreciate your support. It means the world to me, and I am so excited to say that we are finally back talking about shows. Of course, I'm not going to do away with the content that I've been doing for the past couple of months, but it's going to be more of a 50-50 sort of integration, so that if you happened upon this channel while I was not doing show reviews, you will still be fed the same amount as the girlies that have been here since day one. And with that said, there have been a lot of shows that have come out over the past couple of months that I just have not had the opportunity to talk about. So I figured figured before I make a full video on some of them, I might as well go back to our roots and do a fun little tier list ranking some of the best and worst shows that have come out over the past couple of months and that y'all have been saying that I should watch. And like I said, I will be doing full reviews for some of these shows. So let me know down in the comments below which show you definitely want to see me make a review on, because you already know the Gen V video is happening for sure. But if you wanted to see me talk about anything else, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the content that I have coming out on this channel now that we are back in full steam ahead. Also, leave a like on this video because it helps out so much with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more of me, make sure to follow me on my socials at imergency to see more lifestyle, fashion, and just day-to-day content on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. But let's break down this tier list because it's been a minute. So as you can see here, we have a lovely tier list with a lovely assortment of shows to get into. And I decided that for this tier list, it'd be fun to rank each of these shows based on how much I wanted to talk about them and how good they really were. At the worst tier, we have the absolutely not tier. And this is for shows that I either watched or started watching and just could not bring myself to finish just because for whatever reason, it just wasn't doing it for me. It doesn't mean that I hate the show. It just means that like it's not for me. I'm not finishing it. I'm sorry, absolutely not. The tier above that is y'all heard something? And this tier is a cut above the previous. It's not necessarily bad, it's just more so that it made no noise. Like forget about the strike, it just really wasn't that moving. Like there just was not much going for this show in terms of recognition or people really talking about it or me really finding out about it. Like if I had to find out about this show through like a couple of TikToks or by just being really bored and happening upon it, then it's going in this tier. A tier above that is the just okay tier. This tier is like the name says, it's just okay. Like I really don't have a strong opinion either way about these type of shows. So yeah, they're just there. And now I feel like the tiers above this category are just certified hits. Like they are good shows objectively. It's just a matter of like how good they are, you feel me? So the fourth tier consists of shows in which you just have to admit that we have a hit on our hands, Your Honor. Like these shows are a hit, Your Honor. Like there is no disagreeing about that. Like this is quality television that you just really can't miss. And though they're released during the strike, they will be living on for a very long time. Only bested by the tier above that, which are shows that I can only really summarize as shows being ahead of their time. And by ahead of their time, I mean like in a time where I just can't talk about them because these shows are just so good and so just thought-provoking, interesting, and just really have the potential to drive the social pop culture scene that I was just sobbing at the fact that I couldn't talk about it and be a part of the discourse. So now that we have that all laid out, let's get into actually ranking some of these shows. We have an actual small but mighty list here. We have some fan favorites on here, at least from this channel, like season 2 of Heartstopper, season 4 of Sex Education, season 2 of The Summer I Turned Pretty. Like there's a lot going on here, so I'm excited to break into it. The first show we're breaking into is Elite season 7, I believe. And honestly, Elite season 7, if you've seen any of my Elite reviews, and if you haven't, I strongly encourage you to. Elite is just one of those shows that I think it needs to end. Like it needs to come to an end. I believe that the next season is its final season, and it's just really overdone at this point. Like there's only one OG that's still there, and that's Omar. And they have so many other characters that just aren't as interesting, and the plot is just kind of all over the place at this point, where I just personally am not that big of a fan of Elite anymore at this point, which I'm sad to say. Like they even got rid of Manu Rios, and I feel like if they're gonna get rid of all the other cast, at least keep Mr. Manu for something. But that's just not the case. So for Elite, I hate to say it, I don't know whether I want to put it in the absolutely not. Y'all heard something? Don't fight me, y'all. Y'all are gonna fight me regardless. I know y'all like to tussle, but absolutely not. I'm sorry. Like Elite, it started off strong, and at this point I just need it to wrap up because I'm tired of the new seasons. I'm sorry, I'll say it. If you want my full opinions, then ask for that full video. But until then, it's just gonna have to stick in absolutely not. I'm sorry. The next show, this show actually came out before the strike, but I actually don't think that I talked about this show, even though I thoroughly enjoyed it at the time that it came out, just because of the storytelling and how the plot ended up unfolding. I know that there was a lot of drama that came out about the cast around this time, but for the show itself, I really enjoyed it. Like I think that Beef was fun. I thought that it was an emotional show for sure. And honestly, I feel like scandals aside, which is a lot to push aside, I know, I'd say that the show was a hit. Like it was a good show. It was a solid show. Like I really enjoyed this show. I don't think it was just okay. I think it was a cut above the standard average Netflix show. I was a fan. So yeah, it's a hit, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Next up, getting into the animation bag, Castlevania Nocturne. I don't know if y'all are into Castlevania. Like, are y'all tuned into Castlevania? Like, have y'all been keeping up with Castlevania over the years on Netflix? Because I have, and this last season that just came out gagged me down. The best way I could describe this season is gothic core. Because the animation style aside, like, did y'all see that nasty ass boot that Drolta has? When she stepped out that carriage and that boot had no heel, it was all just like the platform. It was honestly giving Barbie adjacent, but just like a little bit more because Drolta was that girl. Awful vampire, but through and through, she was that girl. I just love me some Castlevania. I love that universe and I am always going to be tuned in when something like this drops. So yeah, I'd also say that Castlevania and the Emergency cinematic universe is a hit, Your Honor. Yeah. Next is a show that y'all have been requesting forever. Or not forever, that's dramatic, but for a good minute now. Everything Now. I'm going to be honest, at the point of this recording, I am still halfway through the season. And I already know what y'all are about to say. If you haven't finished the show, why are you making a ranking review on it? Because I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible for y'all. And it's just taking me time to get through it because I've gotten a little busy. I'm so sorry. But from what I have seen of it, I have loved. Like, someone in my comments described the show as being like a mix between Sex Education and Euphoria. I kind of see it. From what I've seen so far, I really do like this show. I can predict that probably for like the full review, if y'all want a full review of this show, I'm going to be in the It's a Hit, Your Honor, or the sobbing that I couldn't talk about it category, just because of the way that things are being built up right now. That I'm sorry, I'm sad. Like, it's quality content. I don't know what to tell you. But for right now, I feel like I'm gonna go off like a biased opinion on just the conversation around this show on the internet right now. And honestly, while I love this show, I have heard nothing about it. Like, it's honestly been crickets for this show, which is a shame because it's so good. And I can't wait to make a full review out of it. But for right now, I fear that I have to put it in the y'all heard something category because I did not hear something until y'all put me on. I just know that I made a lot of y'all upset with that. I'm really sorry. I sincerely apologize, actually. I'll make it up to y'all in the review, don't worry. Next up, a underrated spooky hit, The Fall of the House of Usher. Now, this is a show that I was told to watch by literally everyone in my life. Like, not even just on social media, not even just on the internet, but friends, family, coworkers. Everybody was saying this show was so good and that I needed to watch it. And I watched it. And I completely understood because this show was a masterpiece. Like, want to talk about like masterclass storytelling? The Fall of the House of Usher was just so well done because all of the twists and turns were for the most part kind of unexpected. Like, I feel like I compare it really similarly to Interview with a Vampire just because it's very much giving like Interview, not with a vampire, maybe like a corporate vampire. But like that storytelling style of like two people are sitting down and recounting an interview or testimonial talking about the things in the past that have led them to this moment right now. If that makes any sense. I don't think I explained that very well. And normally I don't necessarily love that format of storytelling just because I feel like it can get repetitive with the way that people go about telling it. But for The Fall of the House of Usher, it was a hit. I'm sorry. It was a hit. Like, they did such a great job with building out and fleshing out each of the characters, having some good twists and turns, as well as just being shocking in a similar way that The Boys, Gen V, Invincible is like shocking, you know? So for that, I'm really just sad that I couldn't talk about it because I wanted to make a spooky video on this so bad because it came out during the Halloween season. It was so good. I'm just so sad that I couldn't chat about it with y'all earlier. Next up, this show honestly comes with no introduction. Like, I'm gonna let you decide where you think I'm gonna put this show based on just how I feel about The Boys and how I've been alluding to this show so far in this video. Gen V is precisely, and when I say precisely, I mean precisely what I have been asking for years at this point, honestly years. I made a video, I think last year, maybe 2 years ago, I don't exactly remember when, talking about how we need more shows that are set in college and tell college stories. And luckily we've been getting things like The Sex Lives of College Girls, which is unfortunately ending. And shows like this, Gen V, it just goes to show that whenever a college show is made, it is done so well and performs so well, like people love it. So honestly, just keep them coming because Gen Z, I know I keep throwing around this word, but masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. I'm sorry. It brings up everything that was great and amazing with The Boys and takes it and brings it down to a Gen Z-ish lens because I feel like The Boys is an amazing show. It's not geared towards Gen Z. It's more of like a broad appeal. Like, they have like their moments where they allude to like pop culture and like things that go on with like the younger generations, but Gen V is literally just Gen Z in college. It's so funny, it's so interesting. The characters and cast are just so compelling, and I love that they each got their own kind of development arc in a way that wasn't super contrived or super forced. I'm just kind of upset with that ending. I'm gonna save a lot of my thoughts for the review that's coming out later down the line. But yeah, that finale just has me itching and waiting for more. Although I am a little upset that, you know, if you know, yeah. So I'm gonna let you decide where I'm gonna put this. 1, 2, yeah, I was sobbing. I was actually throwing a fit that I couldn't talk about it earlier because I just needed to unpack what I was saying with somebody. And you're usually my somebody, so it was, yeah. Next up, another iconic show. And honestly, the show came out so long ago that honestly, the emotions that I had felt initially when watching it have kind of like left me. I still loved what I saw. You know what, let me stop being mysterious. Let me say the title first. Heartstopper season 2. Heard of it? Y'all familiar? Y'all heard of that little show, Heartstopper? Yeah, I thought so. Heartstopper season 2, from what I can remember watching it when it came out, it was just so cute and so wholesome, and it made me feel all of these things. Like seeing Nick and Charlie officially be in a relationship and them do the whole let's go to Paris together really just sparked something within me, because I just love a cute, wholesome love story, and that's very much what we got for season 2. I really wish that I could have hopped on here and chatted with y'all while it was airing and while it, like initially when it came out, because I know that my reactions and my thoughts were a lot hotter and a lot more fiery at the time. So I might have to actually go ahead and rewatch season 2, because for one, I need my heart warmed again. It's getting real cold around this time of year. I need something to warm this heart. So yeah, I'd say that for Heartstopper, it's definitely a show that I could not stop talking about. It's definitely a show that I wish that I could talk about more. Next up is a show that I was not anticipating, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. Red, White, and Royal Blue. Y'all have been asking me to talk about this one for a minute. I've been seeing those comments. I remember how the internet was reacting when Red, White, and Royal Blue came out, and the popular sentiment was like, let's normalize having queer, cheesy Hallmark movies, because that's very much what this was. Like, for what it was worth and what the plot was, I really loved it, as well as the actors involved, like Chef's Kiss. Like, do you see him? Like, how do you not enjoy looking at that? But I will say the production was giving very low budget. Like, it was giving very much low budget. Like, I remember telling one of my friends, like, why am I seeing the green screen right now? Like, why can I tell that a green screen is being used? Like, it was giving so low budget, but that's okay, because there are a ton of low budget Hallmark rom-com-y straight shows. So just for representation's sake, it's good that we have a queer one as well. Yeah. So Red, White, and Royal Blue, I would not say that it was necessarily a hit. I love the show. I really enjoyed watching the show. It was a fun watch, but I don't think that it was super... In my book, I wouldn't consider it a hit like that. So it's gonna be okay. I am not strongly for or against it. I believe that it was just a solid thing that came out. So yeah, just okay. Next up, Sex Education season 4, the final season of Sex Education. I'm gonna be honest, season 4 let me down a lot. I had high hopes, and seasons 1 through 3 were just so good that season 4, I think it's because they tried to change up too much. Like, putting them in a new school was just like a lot for a final season, you know? That's something that you probably do like halfway through, maybe like a season 2. It's just not something that you do for final season. Like, there's just too much new going on, and not a lot of it was explained very well, or at least in a way that I would have enjoyed. And a lot of like the character decisions just didn't really seem full circle. Like, a lot of people were making the same mistakes that they were making in the first season, where it was just like, where's the growth, girl? Like, why is Otis still throwing tantrums 4 seasons in? Like, let's have a little bit of development. Like, I know that he got some of that towards the end of the season, but it's just like, it wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. I'm so sorry. Like, I was expecting more. The season, it was not the most interesting to watch and get through, if I'm being honest, in comparison to some past seasons. So I'm just like, yeah, it's just okay, but at the bottom of just okay. Following suit, I'm about to make a lot of people mad. The Summer I Turned Pretty, season 2. The Summer I Turned Pretty, I love season 1. I initially thought I wasn't going to like The Summer I Turned Pretty when I first watched it, but then after watching season 1, I'm like, wow, I'm actually a stan. I actually really like this. Season 2, it was okay. It's kind of just like, what's the point? What's the plot? Like, why do they keep going back to each other? Like, they're the only people on Earth. And it was just a little bit too melodramatic for me. Like, of course it was emotional because, spoiler alert, the mother of Conrad and Jeremiah passes away. But there's just so much angst and so much back and forth going on that I'm just like, girl, what's going on, Billy? get a new man. Like Jeremiah and Conrad, those aren't the only boys to exist. Like there are other people in the world for you to be romantically interested in that will treat you infinitely better. So for that, I will say The Summer I Turned Pretty was also just okay. Better than Sex Ed though, I'll say that. Next up is a show that I don't know if a lot of y'all are tuned into and a lot of y'all are watching, because I don't usually talk about K-dramas a whole bunch. I've talked about some, but this is my favorite K-drama. Uncanny Counter. If you have not seen the show, if you have not seen Uncanny Counter, I implore you, encourage you, actually require, it's actually a prerequisite for this channel to go on Netflix and watch Uncanny Counter, because it is one of the best K-dramas in my opinion. Like, I might have to do a full review for this one because I can't even break down the intricacies as to why it's so good, but I will just say it's kind of similar to Sense8 in the sense that people are connected telepathically and have like superpowers. But I guess to give like a little better taste, it's basically a show about this group of people who are brought back to life after being in like a coma or like a vegetative state to fight evil spirits with these superpowers. I'm not describing it very well, but trust me, it's really good. You will really enjoy it, and I really enjoyed season 2. This was one of my comfort shows. It was releasing weekly for a minute, and I think it was like 12 episodes. So it was a minute that I was following season 2 for a minute, and I was so upset that I couldn't talk about it because I didn't talk about season 1, and that's on me. Like, I didn't put y'all on to season 1. That's my fault for not sharing the goods. I don't mean to gatekeep, but I gatekeep that. I gatekept that down. And I'm not making the same mistake. So go and watch Uncanny Counter and get back to me. Let me know. If you're an Uncanny Counter stan already, like it makes sense why you're here. Like it just makes sense because we're there. But now we've arrived at the final show, and that is XO Kitty. XO Kitty is another show that I did not think that I was going to like initially. Just because I had not seen To All the Boys I've Loved Before previously. And from all the trailers that I had been seeing, it looked a little cringe, like it looked like it was not going to give. It was a little cringe, but the story overall had me sat like I was watching. Like I sat down and watched that whole season, no shade. Our boy from Love Victor, Raheem, you remember Raheem from Love Victor? He's on that show and looks real good, might I say. So like, Anthony, if you're watching this, hey. But yeah, I really enjoyed XO Kitty. I thought it was a really fun watch, and I'm excited for a season 2 once we're able to get that. Would I put it in the same category as being a hit like Beef or Castlevania? I don't know, but I would not put it in the just okay. Would I put it? Maybe I put it in like the peak of just okay. It's either the peak of just okay or at the bottom of a hit, Your Honor. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of your hit because it was pretty good. But yeah, that's our list. And honestly, looking at this list is crazy. So if y'all hate me for this list, I understand, because this is an insane list through and through. Like, I don't know how we got here. The only thing I would really change that's like immediately jumping out of my mind is probably Everything Now's placement. I feel like once I finish the show and like have my full thoughts on it, it's going to move up. But for right now, this is it, y'all. I'm excited to make more show content, trope analysis review, and things of that sort moving forward. And I'm also excited to keep making more media, pop culture, commentary content, because both of those really feed my creative soul. So be prepared for more of that. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about this tier list? Where would you rank these shows? I'm going to leave a link to this tier list down in the description so that you can make your placements and share them with me on Twitter, Instagram, or on the community Discord, which is in the description down below. Also, let me know what shows you want to see me make reviews about, because I'm excited to get back into that as well. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video because it helps out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. Follow me on my socials at imergency on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And other than that, y'all, I will see you in the next video. Peace.